departure from which he would never return. As for the wise lady of Bani Hashim, namely Zainab al-Kubra, she saw all of that. We see how the secure niche of the religion was about to be dislocated, the rope of prophethood to be cut off, the lantern of the Sharia to be put out. As Imam Hussein was about to leave for the battlefield, he heard a cry from behind calling out, Mahlan mahla, ya ibn al-Zahra. Wait for a moment, O son of Fatima. This is your sister Zainab. Imam Hussein stopped. His sister Zainab approached him. She said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, our mother Fatima instructed me to do something on this day and in this moment. She wanted me to kiss you on the forehead and on your throat. Imam al-Hussein came down. She kissed him on the forehead. She kissed him on the throat. The forehead would be the target of the stone on that day, and the throat would be severed with a dagger. Imam Hussein attacked the enemy like an angry lion. Anyone who could catch up with him, he stabbed with his sword and killed as he was receiving the arrows from all directions, bracing them with his chest and with his neck. Having become too feeble to fight, he stood to rest. It was then that a man threw a stone at him, hitting his forehead and causing his blood to run down his face. He took his shirt to wipe his blood from his eyes, just as another man shot him with a three-pronged arrow, which pierced his chest and settled in his heart. He instantly said, in the name of Allah, Bismillah, wa billah, wa fi sabilillah, wa ala millati Rasulillah. And on the creed of the Messenger of Allah, raising his head to the heavens, he said, O Lord, you know that they are killing a man besides whom there is no other son of your Prophet's daughter. As soon as he took the arrow out of his back, blood gushed forth, rubbed it on his face and beard, as he said, thus shall I appear when I meet my Lord and my grandfather, the Messenger of Allah, drenched in my blood. It is then that I shall say, O grandfather, so and so killed me. The enemies of Allah waited for a short while, then returned to Imam Hussein. When they surrounded him as he sat on the ground, unable to stand. Then Umar ibn Sa'd looked at the Imam, and then he said to his soldiers, Arihuh, kill him, relieve him of this pain. No one could do it. They just struck him one after the other. They kept blowing the strikes of the sword at him one after the other. No one could dare kill the Imam. They all relied on one another. Imam Hussein was now waiting only for his death. Imam Hussein was going to die from the bleeding anyway. And yet Shimr came close to him. Says, I could see and I could hear the children screaming, don't do that, don't sever our father's head. I could hear Zainab shouting, don't kill my brother. I could see Zainab crying and saying, leave my brother alone. He ran and I ran. He ran towards the killing pit while I ran towards the killer himself. He drew and I drew. He drew the dagger from his pocket while I drew a sigh of grief from my chest. He severed and I severed. He severed and I severed. He severed my brother's head while I severed my hope. أبد والله ما ننسى حسينا وحسين وحسين.
After Hussein had been slaughtered on the desert plains of Karbala, the women and children of his camp were left defenseless. The decapitated bodies of Hussein's men were left to decay on the hot sands. The barbaric army of Yazid looted the tents of the family of the Prophet, setting each one on fire as they passed. The survivors from Hussein's camp were captured and taken to Damascus, not given a chance to bury their beloved dead. The responsibility of ensuring the safety of the captives and that the message of Hussein was kept alive was taken up by Zainab, the daughter of Ali and Fatima, and the sister of the martyred Hussein.
The relevance of Imam al-Hussein's sacrifice and the sacrifice of his family and his companions highlights, number one, Islam's constant spread of the concept of justice. Number two, it highlights the importance of sacrifice towards the message of Islam. Number three, it highlights the propagation of the message of Islam. Number four, it highlights for us that continuously in our life we must persevere in order to ensure that the human being is able to achieve freedom of thought and freedom of expression in society.
Imam Hussein alayhi salam showed us that even if it will be for you to be killed, for you to be sacrificed for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order for you to protect the religion of Islam, do it so. And he did it with his action, not with his words.
When we talk about justice and we talk about humanity, the name of Hussein comes synonym to that.
Imam Hussein alayhi salam, yes, he was martyred in Karbala. He was his family members, his companions were killed, but these people were killed physically. Spiritually, they are alive.
The call of Imam al-Hussein, هل من ناصر ينصرنا? Is there anyone out there to help us? Is there a helper to come towards us? This call was a message for the opposition on the 10th of Muharram, but was also a call towards us today. In each of our lives, we must ask ourselves, are we helping the message of Imam al-Hussein? Are we spreading it towards Muslims and non-Muslims alike? Are we writing about this message?
Karbala showed us that what we can learn from it is that we have to distinguish between right and wrong.
The world seeks to follow such people as role models. Therefore, in the same way we see contemporary figures who have stood up for justice, Hussein ibn Ali comes as the highest in this list, as a man who on the battlefield was the bravest, but as a man who off the battlefield was the most generous, and a man who told us that if it means that his life had to be killed, his life had to be ended in order that the light of the candle of Islam continued, then it did not matter. For the light of the candle of freedom and the light of the candle of expression and speech and justice is the light that we must always seek to ensure continues to shine.
So it is for us to apply Karbala in our life, and in order for us to live a happy life either here or in the next world, inshallah.
I think that Imam Hussein alayhi salam represents not only the Shia but Islam itself and the stand against oppression.
It's such a great sacrifice, not for even for people of his religion, but for all humanity.
We can learn patience from that, and we can learn perseverance, and hopefully we can all benefit from it.
Well, the sacrifice Imam Hussein made, to me, as being a new Muslim, that's the main thing that got me into Islam.
Imam Hussein, to me, he means a lot. Actually, it's my whole life. He changes everything.
I can relate to this every year and look back upon it and reflect.
The pain and sufferings that he went through is nowhere near the simple tribulations that we go through today.
His message is everything.
And it can affect you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually.
It teaches me to have no fear.
Imam Hussein Islam is for all of mankind.
Patience.
Bravery.
Passion.
Motivation.
Determination.
What did he die for? He died for us. He died for Shia. He died for Islam.